Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We have some special guests in the building. Yee was hating. Yee turned her mic off. We have Devale and Khadeen.
What's good, I don't believe it. What's up, everybody? How are y'all?
Blessed, black, and highly favored.
I love that.
They are collectively the Dead Ass Podcast.
That we are.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir.
It don't get no more New York than that.
That's
Nah, it don't.
When we were trying to come up with the name for the podcast, we were like, that's it. It had to be Dead Ass.
They pushed back on us, too. Stitcher was just like, I don't know if we can do Dead Ass. That's a
We
little
don't know
risque.
how marketable that is. We're
Really?
Really sure. Yeah.
I was like, nah, it got to be that. Or it's not going to be nothing else.
They didn't understand the slang?
At all.
Yeah.
They didn't get it.
I wonder what they thought Dead Ass was.
That's what they asked us. What do you mean exactly by dead ass?
Right.
I was like, it's a New York term. It's a colloquial term where you mean truth.
Seriously.
I love that you guys explain it at the beginning of every episode.
You know what I'm saying?
We had to.
Yeah.
We had to fight for that. So
first of all, shout out to y'all because y'all are like big in our house. Every morning I take my kids to school when we lived in Brooklyn, and he had to be in school by 9 o'clock. So 8:50 he hear Angela Yee's rumor report. He knows y'all voice. My son knows y'all voice. Like if he hear y'all anywhere else, he like, yo, that's Charlamagne, that's Envy. And when we heard other morning shows, he was like, no bullshit. He was like, this shit is whack. This is not the Breakfast Club.
they don't have the Breakfast Club
They don't got
everywhere?
the Breakfast Club in L.A. When we moved to L.A., he was like, they don't got the Breakfast Club. And I was like, yeah, I'll find it.
How old is he?
He's 9. He turned 10 tomorrow.
Salute to that young king. You can listen to us on the app, the iHeartRadio app.
Yeah.
That's what we
Let
gotta
him
do
know.
now. That's what we gotta do now. Yep.
Now, I saw y'all were posting about the house hunting process and buying a house. So how is everything? Are y'all all settled in and all that?
Not at all.
No, we still in boxes. You know what I mean? Still in boxes, but the kids have a lot of space now. So, we're just happy to be able to have home base for them now where we could set them up. They could run. They have their own rooms, and all that. And slowly things will come together.
What made y'all move? Was it the pandemic?
Go ahead, Charlotte.
Well, we moved to L.A. initially because, we were chasing the TV film thing, you know what I'm saying? And the minute we actually moved to L.A., I ended up booking a job in Atlanta. So we was in L.A. for 18 months. We moved to Calabasas, and it's not Brooklyn.
No.
It's not Brooklyn. It's a bubble. My son was the only black kid in the class. And, you're always trying to focus on upward mobility. And then you get to that place and you realize, like, this is not the environment I want my son in because he kind of feels like he used to come home and ask questions a lot. And he used to be like, man, they say stuff to me that just don't seem right. And I'm like, why? They're like, oh, you the cool kid because you got braids and Jordans. And he's like, I just feel like I'm just the only black kid. And I was like, damn, like I'm thinking I'm putting my son in a better situation, and I realize I'm not. So we like, let's move back east. Let's, now that everything is remote, I'm on 2 shows now, so it's like, let's kind of move back home to family, and it just felt right. So plus the property value was good. You know what I'm saying? We could buy better house for the bank. So
money. Yep.
It affects the kids. Being a father having the same problem. It's like you try to put your kids in a better school, in a better area where they can learn, you think.
Yeah.
But then it really messes their mind up because now they feel like they're alone, like they're the only black kids. So for myself, I put my kids in extra sports. Like my son plays football. Like this weekend, he had a game in Patterson, New York. Like so that way he gets both sides.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's not just he gets where he came from.
Yep. No, for sure. Absolutely, that was super important for us.
What inspired the podcast? What inspired the podcast?
Yo, it's funny, bro. It's
story. We got mad stories.
We do got mad stories, but it really is just like our life. Like we just 2 kids from Brooklyn who hustle like everybody else. And I met my best friend when I was 18, my wife here, and we just lived life together, grinding, taking chances with each other. And we wanted to just show people like this is how fun marriage can be. Even though there's some tough times, but it's just fun. Let's talk about the real times. Like I'll give you an example. When I first met my wife, this was in 2002. We were at a banquet of our elementary school we was going to, and Pam Oliver was hosting. And Pam Oliver, she was reading down the list of accomplishments. Devale, Ellis got a scholarship to Hofstra, aspires to play in the NFL. If you want to do that, you're going to have to grow and gain more weight. And then she was like, like one of those cocky laughs. You know that?
The reporter laughed.
Like it was real condescending, and I was kind of like,
you're going to have to get your weight up.
Yeah, I was like, and I'm like, yo, she laughing at me, right? So me and my wife wasn't together at that moment.
Right. That's the day we met, though.
That's the day we met.
Yeah.
So fast forward 4 years. Now I get a tryout with the Lions, make the team. My first home game starting was against the Jets. It all comes full circle. Yeah, so it all comes full circle. My first home game with the Lions is against the Jets. My family's in the stands. And the Jets, they looked out for me. They got my wife down. At the time, it was my girlfriend. She got her on down there on the stadium, and she's on the field with my mom, and they're like, yo, your mom and your wife's down there. Tell her to take some pictures. Get up there. Right, so I'm down there. As soon as I come down, I see my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and she's like, yo, you see that bitch Pam Oliver's over there? And this is 4 years later, and I'm like, yeah, I see her. I'm like, yeah, I see her.
I was like, you remember number 80?
Hold on, you pressed Pam
Yeah,
Oliver?
check this out. She says to me, I'm supposed to be returning punts, and she called me over. I'm like, she see Pam Oliver? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you gonna go say something to her? I'm like, I can't. I'm about to play a game. She said, you don't got to, because I already did. So I'm like, that's why you don't mind me. So this is in the middle of MetLife Stadium. Yep. 3 pounds, bang, bang. Me and her body bump in the middle of MetLife Stadium right before a game. My coach is like, Devale, get your ass over here. But it's just two Brooklyn kids. Like, we got so many stories.
You remember number 80 that you said needed to get his weight up, that he would never make it to the NFL? Well, he's right over there.
And what did she say?
And I gave her the laugh, too.
What did she say?
And she was like, no way. Are you kidding me?
I never said that.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you said that.
Like, yeah, you
what
did.
if she'd have took her wig off and slapped you with?
They'd have been in there brawling. They'd have been in MetLife Stadium brawling.
It'd have been a problem.
And not for nothing, though, shout out to Pam Oliver, because she's a pioneer in what she does. She was being honest. I was 5'8", 140 pounds.
She was really
Don't shit on somebody's dream.
Facts. That's how I felt.
You can give constructive criticism, but don't just be like, you'll never. He'll never.
But yeah, he does it all the time.
No, I don't do that. I don't tell somebody they'll never be able to do something.
Son,
I give constructive criticism and tell them
they tell them don't quit your day job, stop rapping.
But that don't mean never. That just means like, look, constructive criticism is like you might want to find something else to do.
I can respect that too.
I can respect that.
Devale, you said you booked 2 jobs, and I heard on one of the podcasts you guys are talking about how the dynamics of your relationship have changed because now you have to work, right? And you're gone, and you get upset because Khadeen gets really busy and wrapped up with what she has going on with work, with the boys, and sometimes she doesn't FaceTime you and call you when she's supposed to.
Yeah, it gets me tight. He
has a problem. I went yesterday to do my nails for 3 hours. I'm like, the funny thing is we work together, we live together, we have businesses together, so we're literally always together. So we don't have any space ever really to just like be. So if I leave to go do my nails for 3 hours, I'm thinking, all right, I'm giving this dude some time to miss me. He's calling me, it took you forever to do your nails. I'm like, bro, we're always together.
A lot of times women think that's about something else, but it's really just us being concerned. Like, it's a crazy world we live in. That's literally all it is.
Yo, on my mother, K'll be like, hey, I'm going to run real quick. I'll be right back. 5 hours later, I'm texting you. I'm like, yo, you ain't answering your text. You ain't FaceTime. And she's like, I'm getting my nails done. I couldn't. I'm like, you was gone for 5 hours. They really stealing people out here. You ain't answering your phone. You don't expect me to be concerned?
But you really can't answer the phone when you're getting your nails done.
Really
That's what she said.
Right before they do your nails, call me and say, yo, I'm about to get my nails done.
She probably soaking them.
You see, husbands
Clearly, y'all got wives, huh?
Yes.
Understand.
For me, I'm just like, I gotta give this dude some time to miss me sometimes, because then, it just be too much.
How is that? Because like you said, you guys have always been together. It's been 10 years, and we're going to talk about that great anniversary that y'all had for your 10-year anniversary. But before we get to that, let's talk about that, because it is different now, right? Because Devale is gone for periods of time, and y'all not physically together. So how has that changed your relationship?
It's kind of changed our relationship in a little bit. I mean, we just came out of a pandemic where we couldn't do nothing, so we was on each other all the time. But I mean, the time to miss each other kind of took us back to college and the league. Because when I was in the league, I'd be gone for weeks, I'd be gone for months. And during those times, we really, really missed each other. So when we came back, it was fireworks.
Right. I think we need that. Being together for 18 years, almost 19 years, we definitely need a space. So him being away filming for a couple weeks at a time, that gives me time to, rejuvenate the sexy and whatnot, and, rebuild that, wanting to see each other. Like, it's necessary when you've been with somebody for so long. It's very necessary.
How long were you in the league?
4 years.
Okay. So you don't get the pension?
Yo, I missed it by 3 games.
3 games.
Bro, I learned a lot about like ownership and finances through the NFL, bro. Like, they find ways. For example, it's all about cheaper, younger talent, right? So I played for the Lions for 3 years. I got picked up by the Browns, got released, and my agent told me, like, yo, it's going to be hard for you to get back into the league. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, whoever picks you up now is going to be responsible for your pension from now until you're done. So for them, it's like, I might as well just go get a rookie, pay them the league minimum, rather than having to pay you $1 million to do the same thing. And from a business standpoint, I get it. Wow. You know what I'm saying? From a business standpoint, from an ownership standpoint, I get it. But from a player standpoint, I'm like, yo, this is jacked up. But that's what the CBA is always fighting for. You know, they're always fighting to make sure players are taken care of. So at that point, I made a decision. I didn't want to play ball no more. I wanted to focus on TV film. My wife wasn't too happy about that at the time. She was like, what? Like,
I was like, you're about to do what? Who leaves a bag on the table? To me, I felt like, all right, well, they don't want to play you in the NFL. The Canada, I think, had some interest in him at the time.
She's trying to send me to Canada,
so I was
y'all.
like, go to Canada.
She's trying to send me to Canada, bro.
I was like, you in Detroit, you might as well just like go to Canada and play a year or two. Because to me, I kind of felt like he also he wasn't able to live out his full potential playing in the NFL. So I feel like he still had more to prove. I cursed out Pam Oliver for you, and you still had more to prove.
I understand that, but this was my thing, right? I also had a functioning pain med addiction. That playing football that was dangerous for me because what people don't understand about football is you have to make it through practice in order to play. So I wake up in the morning, take 4 Tylenol before practice, take 4 Tylenol after practice, then take 2 Vicodin to go to sleep. And I'm doing that Monday through Saturday just to get through practice, and then I'm taking pain meds on Sunday.
Unbeknownst to me, too. At the time, I didn't even know.
Yeah, at the time, she didn't know. So, and I didn't know how it was affecting me. It wasn't like a pain med addiction where it was like, I need the pain meds on to get high. I just needed it so my body was numb so I could play ball. So I was like, man, I really just don't want to do this no more. And then, and that's another thing we talk about on the podcast when we talk about so many things that we've gone through since being together from 18. Everything you see on Instagram with us is the happy version, right? It's the highlights, you know what I'm saying? So on the podcast, we get a chance to talk about those times when I had my pain med addiction, the time when I thought I was going to lose Khadeen, having our first son, and she got rushed into emergency surgery, and I had to learn about maternal health, you know what I'm saying? We had to talk about mental health because after the NFL, I was suffering from depression. Like, I was getting off the pain meds. I had lost a lot of money in the stock market, lost a lot of money on property. And literally, the podcast is like an audio sitcom. When I decided that I wanted to get into TV film, I said I wanted to have my own sitcom. I wanted to have my own show and show like a positive black family. And then people's like, based on what? I said, imagine if you had a pro athlete who retires in the prime of his career, loses all his money and have to move back to gentrified Brooklyn. That sounds like a log line for a show. But that was our life in our late 20s. And we had to pretty much build everything back from there. And I had to do that with my best friend who was my wife. And it's just a lot of funny stories, but a lot of ups and downs. And the podcast is a way for us to talk about those things. And
has the things you're doing now filled that void that football left? Because I hear that from so many athletes. Like, either they didn't make it pro or they made it pro and it was only there for a short time.
Bro,
that was never really your dream, though.
Playing football, it was always a means to an end. When I first met Kay at 18, she was like, yo, what you want to do with your life? And I was like, that. Martin was on TV. And she was like, that. I was like, yo, I want to be an actor. I want to tell stories. And she's like, how you going to do that? And I told her I was going to use football as a means.
Dope.
But what happens is, when football becomes your whole life for 10 years and people are constantly giving you a structure for what your life is going to be, when that's taken away suddenly, there's no way to avoid depression, bro. It don't matter how much money you got. I got boys who got $25 million in the bank who call me and just randomly be like, yo, D, I'm not doing well. Like, what you mean? They're like, yo, it's me and my kids and my wife in the house.
They don't got nothing to do.
I don't know what to do. I'm like, bro, you got money. Start some businesses. You like, money ain't a thing to me. Like, I don't care about that. I just don't have a purpose. And that's when we also started, talking about black men's health on the podcast, because we don't talk about that. Like, and I know you big on that, Charlamagne, and it's good to see it be normalized now. I Am Athlete podcast. They talk about it all the time.
Yeah. And Brandon Marsh.
I did an interview with Cam Newton, and Cam Newton was talking to me about it, and it feels good now to be able to say, yo, you hurt my feelings. Like this make me feel bad. Like, I talk to my wife like my homeboy. A lot of times it gets me in trouble. A lot of times it gets,
Did you hear the clip on Monogamy, y'all, that went viral?
Yes,
Yeah, I got dragged on Twitter for being honest.
And Devale definitely sent me a DM like, why did you put that up? I'm like,
but yo, I was like,
it's just one of those things too now though, where I feel like because people are so accustomed to things being sugar-coated that if they see people having a very candid, open, blunt conversation, it's seen as aggressive or it's seen as disrespect.
Yeah.
But we don't function like that. We've always been very, very completely honest. And that's gotten us in trouble sometimes even with each other, but we've grown accustomed to it and just realized that we cut out so much time and aggravation just by being honest. And people who see that in our podcast or even see that in our day-to-day interaction on Instagram, they're taken aback by it. And we're just like, why don't more relationships function like this?
Yeah.
What was the monogamy clip? I forgot. I think I remember. Was that the one where somebody said you can sleep with.
Yeah, so what happened was we were so there was a whole story behind it. The Monday we were supposed to be shooting 4 episodes of the podcast, right?
That week, yep.
Kay and I have this thing with sex where I'm like, yo, I like when you get dressed up. For example, Kay don't dress like this every day. She knows she coming on the Breakfast Club. She put her makeup on. She got her $36 wig on, her hat.
My $36 wig.
And y'all know when you
Angela,
marry,
I can't keep
when you marry, sometimes you like, yo, I like when my wife get dressed up.
Though. I ain't clipped the lace.
So Monday she dressed up.
I ain't clipped the lace.
Monday she dressed up, and I was like, yo, let's tonight let's do something. She's like, I got you tonight.
I mean, you'll be in the moment. You go to an event or whatever. So you have my little hairdo in and the ponytail. He likes the ponytail.
So she had the ponytail, and she's like, I'm gonna take care of you tonight. Monday come and go, she forget. Tuesday, she get dressed. You know how it is when you married.
When you married and then
Tuesday, so she get dressed again.
Too many drinks
because we had
event,
the podcast. She get dressed up again. She like, I got you tonight. She talking hot Tuesday night. I get home, she forget again.
Once she put that scarf on, you know it's a wrap,
bro. So she did it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. She promised me. She was like, bro, I got you tonight. She had this long ponytail in. She had the rhinestones on her forehead. Everything was looking nice. She was like, yo.
Was laid.
She was like, yo, I'm going to crack the pepper, baby. I'm going to crack the pepper for you. If y'all don't see me, crack the pepper. She going to get it popping, right? So we get home that night. I run to the bathroom. I come back. She got the stocking cap on. And she got the stocking cap on with her little ponytail hair. She took it out.
I took the ponytail
so I'm
out.
pissed,
It
bro.
was bothering me.
I'm like, yo, this all week you've been promising me that you was gonna do this. So now,
and I put on this cute little all-in-one bodysuit from Savage Fenty. He was like, "Look at you in your dry ass, dusty bodysuit." I said, "This is a perfectly brand new Savage X Fenty." Okay.
So I'm pissed,
my
bro.
dusty ass bodysuit.
So now I'm pissed, right? So now we have sex that night. We have angry sex, but it ain't the type of sex I was trying to have, right? So we wake up the next morning.
Is it good angry sex like Keisha and Tommy and Belly?
Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good angry sex.
Okay.
But my thing is, you still put it off, and you ain't do what I asked you to do. So we wake up that morning. Now we got to do a podcast. So we get in there, and we already submitted the terms we're gonna do for the podcast. So we get there like, hey, the podcast is about monogamy. I'm like, now we got to talk about sex. Like we've been arguing about sex all week. We got to talk about sex. So we talking about sex, right? And it came to this point in the podcast, and I'm like, yo, let me ask you a question. If sex is going to be a chore for you as a wife, why did you want monogamy? Right? And she was just like, you didn't want monogamy? And I was like, I did, but I felt like you kind of pushed monogamy on me. I said that, and her response was, oh, so I forced you to marry me? I didn't say that.
She moved the goalpost.
You
moved the goalpost.
I didn't say that.
A smidgen. but more or less, what was he trying to say?
But this is where I messed up, right? I was so mad, and I was being petty, and we both petty, that I didn't take it back and be like, no, babe, you didn't force me to marry you. I said, because now I'm being mad, because now I'm being petty. And I'm like, at the time when we was getting married, we weren't even agreeing on when we were going to get married because I told you I lost all my money playing ball. Mm-hmm. I had said that at that time, like, I think we should wait to get married because financially I'm not in a good spot. And she was like, I'm not waiting no more. I want to get married. So I kind of felt like, yeah, like you wanted to get married at this point. So now that you wanted to get married at this point, when it comes time to do these things as a wife and you keep putting me off, it kind of make me feel like you didn't really want monogamy. You just wanted me to do...
No, 27-year-old Khadeen at the time was thinking, I want to be clear about what the intentions are. What am I expecting to gain from this relationship or not? Because at that point, we've been together for 9 years. So I just want to know where we're going and how I got to get there. So he took that as pressure. To me, I was just stating where I stood in that time.
I don't see nothing wrong with that.
So what happened after that conversation now? Now you said, so now what happens now? I need to get nothing for 3 more days.
So what happened was I said, right? And we ended up having a full argument on the podcast. And
Great content, by the way.
Yeah, we had a full argument on the podcast. And then, but that's marriage arguments. Y'all know how that go. Mm-hmm. We get over it. The podcast comes out like 4 weeks later. We forget that we had this whole argument.
Come right back.
And now we arguing about something else. And then people are hitting me on Twitter like, yo, y'all trending on Twitter. And I'm like, for what? And they just like, your monogamy comment. And I said, what monogamy comment? Because somewhere in the comment, I said, she had said to me, sex ain't that important to me. And I was trying to prove a point. And I was like, that's not fair because if sex ain't that important to you, why you get so upset at the thought of me having sex with someone else? And then people just like, he just want to have sex with other people. I'm like, I just was trying to make a point. But y'all took it and y'all ran with it. But I'm like, I mean, to be honest, you know, we people was mad. It was men versus women.
Yeah.
Men agreed with me. Women agreed with her. And it created content. But people was mad at us for a little bit.
Mission accomplished.
People were mad at us for a little
It's
bit.
a good conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I see both sides. You know what I mean? Because it's not like you're not going to creep on your woman.
I'm not. Like, I'm not doing it.
You're desirable, is all you're trying to say.
I appreciate that, Charlamagne. I appreciate that.
No, I don't mean it like that.
Wow. How you do that with Khadeen right there?
Wow. His wife is right there.
Relax, kid. Don't get
Hot ass.
He's a bad bitch. She's a bad bitch. He is. He is.
I don't mean it like that. It's just that old adage, which you don't do, somebody else will. Not saying he would.
Wow,
And you would.
Charlamagne.
No, I would never say that to my wife. You know what I mean? But it's a thought sometimes.
Right.
Like, I don't want it to be a chore to you.
Whoop
Like,
his ass.
See, now that's the
ass,
point.
girl.
Look, Envy trying to instigate. Envy trying to instigate over
But you see, Charlamagne,
Whoop
you were like,
his
I would
ass,
never say
girl.
that to my wife. Devale will say to me, Devale was just like, women out there want me. I am a sex symbol. Like, he lets me know.
Listen,
and I'm like,
this is the truth.
Okay.
This
and
is,
I agree. That's
Hold
why
on.
I'm here.
And women went Khadeen as well.
Yo,
I'm
let me.
sure.
Now here's the thing,
I'm
Envy.
sure
my
women be in your
girl is
comments.
Envy, this is my point. This is my point, Envy and Ye. When Kay says she wants something or she needs something, I make it my point
To make
to
it
get
happen.
it done because
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm not going to disregard your feelings and your needs because the same way you want monogamy, I want monogamy too. If my wife if I want monogamy and I'm going to say to my wife, yo, I want to be the only person you come to for all of this. When she says she want to need something, I'm going to take care of it. So when I ask for the same thing and you constantly saying, later, I'll be like, why you always on me? It's like, damn, like,
yeah.
why don't you do the same for me if I'm trying to do the same for you? So it's not a thing where I'm like, I could get mad chicks. It's like, yo, let's serve each other. And that's ultimately what the podcast is about. We talking to people about, I had to make a decision in my life to learn how to serve my wife so I could be a better husband. You know, like even the sex thing. You know how we figured out what happened with her sex drive?
Yeah, because we kind of had revelations over like the past 5 seasons. It kind of started where we were like bitching about what we had problems with.
We had problems,
you know?
and we was bitching
And then
about
people were talking about, oh, wow, let's hear more about this because I'm having the same issues. And then we kind of felt like we had a breakthrough recently.
We figured it out, bro.
Yeah.
And this is part of me being a man and realizing my faults, right? I don't like wearing condoms. She don't like when I wear condoms. So she gets on birth control, right? It don't matter what type of birth control she got on. She got on a non-hormonal. It affected her sex drive. It's unfair for me as a man to be like, get on birth control. Then when your libido drops, you're like, what's wrong with you?
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because then she was talking to me like, yo, we got 3 kids. How about you get a vasectomy? And I kind of feel like, damn, I don't want to get a vasectomy. But then I'm like, it's unfair for me to constantly tell you to put hormones in your body. And then when it affects you, I get mad. And that's a revelation that I had, and I had to talk about it on the podcast. Yeah. Like, that conversation we had about monogamy made us sit down and be like, yo, let's figure out what's going on with your body and mine. We spoke to a doctor. We got off the birth control, and it was like night and day. August, we was having issues. She got off the birth control. September,
Popping.
I can't get her away from me, bro. Like, I cannot get her away from me. I'm like, I need a break.
And then in talking about that, we realized that there were so many people out there that were just like
having the same issue.
And they don't even realize what it comes from. And birth control pills can also make you gain weight. They can make you dry too.
And we didn't realize that was an issue. We thought if you on the IUD and it's the copper IUD non-hormonal, there should be no side effects. And it wasn't until we had the conversation publicly that we realized, like, yo, that's part of the issue. So we ended up fixing it and we talk about it. So
you know why that's such a good convo? Because men have fragile egos, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like if you don't want to sleep with me, I start questioning myself. Like you'd be like Will Smith on Freshman. Why the fuck you don't want me? You know what I mean? Like
that's literally how he was.
Yo, Charlamagne, bro, I tell you, bro. When I say I'll say to her like, yo, other chicks want me, I'm the same type of dude that my ego, I'll be like, you know how this is fucking with my ego?
That's right.
I go to my wife and I ask for something and she's constantly rejecting me. That make me feel bad. I don't mind being honest and saying that. Like, I start looking at myself like my hair's thinning a little bit. I'm not lifting enough weights, you know what I'm saying? Let me get back in the gym. I get out the shower, I'll be looking at her like, am I looking good? Like, what's up? Like, you start to question yourself, bro.
PRF treatments. I'm like, you all right?
Oh, I did that too.
So, bro,
did it work?
No.
Did it work?
And it ain't worth it. It hurts.
But it does. Didn't I heard
That shit
hurt
too
me
painful.
too, but I tried one time. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm gonna just let it rock
And now
out.
you're putting on that cheerleader's uniform, Khadeen, and getting
I
it
still
popping.
fit the one from high school. That's a fact. Cartwheels and all. Cartwheels and all.
Yeah, we had some revelations. It's been good.
And you guys also celebrated your 10-year anniversary last year.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because that was an amazing, I got to give it up to you for that one, Devale. Like, can you tell us about the process behind the scenes of what was happening?
So the whole time, my wife is Jamaican of Ascension. She loves to go to Jamaica and travel. And we were supposed to have a big vow renewal. And I realized that, damn, we're not going to have the vow renewal because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to find a way to make this special. And the one thing about living in LA is you meet people, right? And we met Jamie Foxx, and we became close friends of his. So I was like, yo, Jamie, I need a favor. He's like, what's up? I was like, I need you to sing this song. It's my wife's favorite song. I need you to sing it. So he was like, I got you, right? So I was like, could you swing by the house and sing it? You know what I'm saying? So he was like, I can't do that because I got some things that I'm doing. But he got on the piano, recorded a video, sent it to me, and he made it an original song, mentioned Khadeen in it, mentioned me in it, and she had no idea this was happening. So the morning of our anniversary, I played it for her, and she cried, and it was all nice.
Cute.
And
like, I mean, we were disappointed, of course, because we were planning like a whole big thing out in Jamaica and whatnot, but that totally made up for it. It ended up just being what it was supposed to be, about us. We got some time together. The kids were in New York with my mom and my dad, and it was nice.
And it was an opportunity for me to get back to what made us work in the very beginning, which is just the gestures of showing each other we love each other. Like, you get to a point in your life when you're making a lot of money and you can buy your wife whatever, and then she make her own money. So I go to buy her stuff and she already bought it. So I'm like, damn, what can I do to show her I'm thinking about her, what she want, what she need, what's important for her and stuff like that. And that was a gesture for her. And, she bought me a watch. And that night, she put on the ponytail.
I lifted it.
Hey.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was good. It was a good moment.
I was a schoolgirl that night, actually.
Yeah, you was. You was a schoolgirl that night.
Did y'all expect the podcast to blow up the way that it did?
No, I didn't. Well, first of all, I'll say this. I was not completely signed up for any of this from jump. And because I grew up in a very traditional West Indian household where the first thing I was taught, as soon as I can remember anything, was you don't tell people your business. Like, you stay to yourself. Anything that happens in this household, in this family, stays in the house. So at first, when we started just even doing videos and stuff on Instagram and just letting people into our household, my mom, like my dad, everybody was just like, I don't understand what y'all are doing, but why are you telling everybody your business? Like, why are you letting people into this space? And I wasn't signed up for it completely, but Devale and I started to do the videos. They picked up some traction. We were also trying to. He had the foresight to see.
Let me tell you, bro.
But I was just not with it in the very beginning.
This is my belief. I believe that there's a delusional quality that all successful people have. And when I was in high school, they was like, how you going to get to college? I said, I'm going to just go to school for free. I'm going to get a scholarship. They said, how? I said, I guess I'm going to play football. Made it happen. I told her I was going to go to the NFL to buy us a property so that we can live in Brooklyn and I don't have to be a starving artist. People laughed at me. I made it to the NFL. When I started this whole thing with social media, I told her, I was like, yo, I want my own sitcom. I want to do TV. I want to do this. But I'm not going to sit back and wait for somebody to pick me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not going to do that. So I'm going to create my own content. I created this social sitcom. It was 15-second videos. And I continue to stay consistent. One of the big people who was very inspirational in my life was 50 Cent, right? I worked as a stunt double for Power for 3 years. I was Amari's stunt double. And I met 50 one day, and this was after I did the funeral video. I was a lead in one of his videos. And this is another story, me and Kay being partners. I called Kay. I said, yo, Kay, 50 is on set today. And she was like, word. I was like, yo, I'm about to press this nigga. She's like, what you mean? I said, yo, I'm going to talk to him about being in this BMF joint. And then she was just like, you going to do that? I was like, yeah. She said, yeah, do it. So when you go on these sets, he's an executive producer. You don't talk to the executive producer. Like, he's 50 Cent. You don't just walk up on him, right? So I was on set. He caught my eye, caught his eye. He was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? We talked about the funeral video. He's like, yo, we'll chop it up. So now I'm thinking this is my opportunity to go holler at him. The end of the night comes, he's coming down the hallway, and everybody's quiet because it's 50 Cent. He's an intimidating dude. He got the PA behind him, and I walk in. He's about to get on the elevator. I go to get on the elevator. The PA put his hand out, right? I knock that shit down, like, bow, get on the elevator, right? So the PA's looking at me. I'm like, what? Right? So then 50's laughing, right? He's like, what's up? I was like, yo, you a bully, yo. And he was just like, yeah, a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I'm a bully too. I'm from Brooklyn. So I'm going to let you know I want to work together. I know you got that BMF project. This was 3 years ago. I know you got that BMF project. And he was just like, yo, we going to work. He hit me with the Hollywood. We going to work. He ain't going to work. But I know how that works. Like, I respect the game. So I thought that was it. I just wanted him to remember my face so that if I get an audition, he could be like, I know that guy. He goes to get off the elevator. He's like, yo, rock with me. I walk with him to his dressing room. He was talking to me about the game, and he was just like, what you got going on? I showed him my videos. He was like, yo, some of these shits is funny. He was like, yo, if you stay consistent, you never know which one of these things will go viral. If it go viral, now you have a catalog of videos that people can go back and see your work. So he said, if you serious about this, don't stop. No matter if you I only had 3,000 followers at the time. So that whole summer, I was doing videos. I went back home. I said, I spoke to 50. I'm going to do 3 videos a day. She was like, yo, you're fucking wildin'. But I was like, yo, just trust me. I was doing these videos in September. Video went viral. After that, bro, it went from 3,000 to 6,000, 20,000, 50,000. Before I knew it, I had 500,000 followers. And then all my old videos was getting mad views. And I always credit 50 Cent for giving me the foresight to say, let me continue to do this when I only got 300 people watching. Because he was the one that said to me, if you stay consistent, when something pop, you got a catalog.
That's right.
And I also respect 50 because, he hit me with the Hollywood, yeah, we gonna work. And I got a story about Charlamagne, too. I got a story about Charlamagne, too.
Charlamagne. Yep.
Yeah, Kay came to press you, Charlamagne.
I did.
But I understand that when you're a person with an opportunity, people gonna come to you for stuff all the time. You can't talk to everybody. Right, you can't talk to everybody.
Especially talking the way y'all niggas from Brooklyn talk.
So now, let me tell you about.
Put on my pageant girl voice.
Let me tell you about Charlamagne. Right, we at the Sorry to Bother You, tape.
It was a screening.
The screening, right? Yeah. And he was hosting,
and
right?
Tessa was there, yeah.
And I said to Kay before, I said, "Yo, baby, we about to do this podcast thing. I'm gonna get us on the Breakfast Club, yo. I'm not playing." And she was like, "What you mean?" I said, "Yo, look who hosting." It's like Charlamagne hosting. I'm about to run up on Charlamagne when I get there, right? So she like, yeah, do that, right? So now it all ends, right? Charlamagne's on the stage. It all ends. He's coming off, right? I catch eyes with Charlamagne. Charlamagne catch eyes with me, and I can see in Charlamagne's face that Charlamagne already knew, like, this looked like the type of nigga that's gonna run up on me right now, right?
Either that, or he thought you was cute from what he said earlier. But go ahead.
Very desirable.
Desirable. So Charlamagne walked by me, right? Now, I was like, yo, Charlamagne, what's good? He gave me a pound or whatever. I was like, yo, let me holler at you. He was like, all right. Right? So we walk outside.
I was like, I don't like his tone, Devale.
So I'm like, yo, Charlamagne, me and my wife got a podcast coming out. We doing this, we doing that. He's listening. He's like, He was like, I was like, yo, I was wondering, I want to get on the Breakfast Club so we can talk about it. He was like, yeah, take my, let me get your phone. I'm gonna give you my number, right? So he takes my phone, right? And he puts all the numbers in there, and I close. I'm like, good looking. I didn't want to keep him too much, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot going on. Charlamagne walk away, right? We get outside. I look at my phone. He only put 9 digits in there, right? He only put 9 digits in there, right? So
I was like, did he do that on purpose? I was ready to go back in there and come after you. I was like, you forgot a digit, Charlamagne.
Kay gonna hit me with the Kay gonna hit me like, yo, he tried to stun on you.
Yo, he played you.
He tried to swerve you like he was a bad bitch. She's like, I'm going back inside. I'm like, nah. Don't
now
go back
who's the
inside.
bad bitch, right?
So I definitely didn't do that on purpose.
So this is the thing though. I said, Kay, real talk. Charlamagne probably get people that do 2-minute pitches every single day. I was like, I understand the game. Like, you can't take a shortcut. You gotta grind. You gotta show your worth. People have to see what you bring to the table for you to get opportunity. I said, if this ain't our moment, this ain't our moment. So then
things did take off though.
Hey, I'm definitely not that guy. I pay attention to everything because you never know what's gonna be what.
Yeah,
that's true.
Which is true. But I wasn't mad. But I was like, he probably did kind of curve me a little bit. And then Kay she always get mad when she thinks somebody do something to me. She gets so mad.
Because I was like, my baby's a bad bitch. So what I needed to do is for y'all to understand that.
She my biggest cheerleader. Like, she my biggest cheerleader.
I like that. Everything you say, she's like, yeah, go ahead, go for it. Do it.
I'm like, dude, I'm always egging him on. Like, listen, if we're gonna rob a bank, we're gonna do it together.
Yeah, and Go ahead.
I was going to say another thing on another episode, y'all were talking about that, right? Devale, you being called a simp, Khadeen, you being called submissive. Mm-hmm. But that is important in relationships. That's kind of how you should be toward each other at certain times.
Yeah, it's funny on social media. Like, I'll say something in men's favor, and women will just be like, oh, he's sexist and he's misogynistic. Mm-hmm. But then if I say something in women's favor, then I'm a simp. It's like people are going to be triggered by whatever you say, but this is my truth. Like, my life is not a monolithic version of what blackness is. Like, some days I feel like as a man I should stand up for my masculinity. Some days I feel like, you know what, I can't push the patriarchy too much. Like, this ain't fair. So I'm gonna say both. When I think it's fair, sometimes people be mad, sometimes people love it, but it's my truth. I'm never gonna run from my truth.
I mean, I get women all the time that are just like, Khadeen, what's your prayer? What did you say? What'd you do? I was like, y'all have to understand that this is like 19 years in the making. So what you're seeing now, Devale and Khadeen, that you see now, have been through 19 years worth of shit. So if we're not transparent about where we've been, things we've had, conversations we had at 27, and people want to hold us to that 1 6-minute clip, then be my guest. But we at least know that we're sharing the entire thing. So like I said before, I wasn't signed up for it, but now that I am, I feel like it's our duty to be able to have to tell people this is the entire picture here. Yeah. And then the beauty behind it is that we pick and choose what we want to share and how we want to share it.
And I'm sure both of y'all are different individuals from when y'all first started.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a fact.
Like,
we had to give each other grace to grow. Like,
I listened
I would hope we wouldn't be the same people.
Season 1 of the podcast, and I was like, I thought that then. And that was 2 years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're in season 5 now. I look like I'm pretty sure I'm gonna look at this interview 3 years later and look back and be like, damn, I thought that at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm constantly trying to evolve and working to be a better father, working to be a better husband. But I do know this: I got married to serve. Like, my wife is my life partner. Like, if I'm gonna serve somebody, I'm gonna serve my wife. I'm gonna serve God, right? So if people view me as a simp because I'm taking care of my wife and I spoil her, I buy her gifts, and then all right, then I'll be a simp to y'all. But typically the dudes that call me a simp are the dudes who are lost, who out here not understanding what they want out of life, you know what I'm saying? And they see me being happy and they gotta label me as something. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing as women will be like, oh, Khadeen's too submissive. Right. And I'm just like,
how are you too submissive to your wife?
bro,
or just being submissive to my husband in general. And you know, it's funny because I look at, like, people expect for example, when you have children, they're just like, you know, the children come first. And that's what I used to think for a long time. My children came first and then everybody thereafter. But recently, Devale and I have been talking about focusing more so on each other, like putting each other first and servicing each other first, because then that family, that entity, that unit that we are, everybody will feel the positive effects of that, children included. And I never thought like that. I always just like, I think maybe too because moms have a different connection to their children, so you feel like, all right, this is my life right here, and then everybody else is secondary. Yeah. But we started in these 10 years, or the next 10 years, our focus is servicing each other more.
You think that happens when your children get a little older too? Because maybe when they're younger, I don't know. I'm just asking you guys.
I mean,
they definitely need more when they're younger. I mean, our kids are now, Jackson will be 10 tomorrow, 4 and 3. So they still definitely need us a lot, or need me a lot. But
we still got to service each other, because I'll admit, the first 5 years of our marriage, I was a terrible husband, bro. And I was terrible because I thought I was doing everything I was supposed to be as a husband, as far as checking the boxes. You ever heard people say, like, when you talk about marriage, you know, I want to be a provider, a protector, I want to be this, I want to be that. I was doing all of that. I was making money. I made sure my wife didn't have to work full time. I was working 14, 16-hour days, but I wasn't there emotionally and I wasn't there spiritually. So I realized now how bad of a husband I was, because with me checking the boxes, I then wanted her to check the boxes. I'm doing all these things. You supposed to cook and clean and make sure when I come home I'm happy, and we weren't happy together. And I started to realize now that I got to wake up in the morning and be like, yo, what's going on with you today? Because some days, like in marriage, it's not 50-50. Some days it's 80-20. I may wake up some day and I may only be giving 20% because I may have something else going on in my life and she got to give 80. Some days I got to wake up and be like, yo, I see Kay is tuned out for whatever reason. I got to give 80. But I got to be in tune to my partner, because if I'm not giving to her, the kids ain't going to get what they need anyway.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So we just
kids can feel that.
Oh, for sure.
Yo, remember oh my gosh, the other day, me and Jackson were having an argument. And well, not me. Well, he was screaming at my youngest son, and I said to him, bro, what makes you think you can scream at your brother like that? And he was like, well, you scream at mommy.
Whoa, yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, bro.
He had just done that like a couple days before.
And the thing is, we don't scream at each other.
Y'all just from Brooklyn.
That is the truth.
We grew up near a train track.
That is the truth, though.
The L train line.
But in this particular story, this was a month ago, Khadeen, we had some people over, and we really big with COVID protocols because I film a lot. So we have people over a lot. And I always make sure people get tested for COVID and stuff like that. The one time that we didn't, we ended up contracting COVID. and my son is a empath, so he always thinks things are his fault. So he ended up getting it first. So I took him to the doctor. I got him tested. He ended up testing positive. So he's crying in the car. I'm like, man, I got COVID. Everybody's gonna get sick. It's my fault. Mommy's gonna be mad. So I'm doing damage control in the car. And I'm like, no, your mother's not gonna be mad. It wasn't you. We invited people in the house. I'm saying all these things. And finally, I get him to get off the edge, you know? Soon as we get to the house, she go to mom protocol. She's like, all these times I told you, get your damn hands out your mouth, do all this other stuff. You probably got it to yourself. I lost it because I'm like, I did all of this damage control, and then Jackson's looking at me for help. Y'all ever see the videos where y'all like, stop looking at your father?
Yeah.
The minute she start going in on him, he's looking at me like, and I'm like, Khadeen, how could you?
I was just trying to deduce where the hell this fucking COVID came from, because I'm that mom that's like on my P's and Q's with it.
So we end up having an argument. I'm screaming at her, she's screaming at me, and then I'm not realizing that I'm screaming at her in front of the kids because I'm trying to protect Jackson from feeling this way. And then 2 days later, he's having an argument with his brother. He's screaming, and I asked him that, and he said to me, well, you scream at mommy. And I had to, at that point, do some reflection and be like, damn, you know what? I said, you know what? You're right. And I shouldn't do that, right? So you and I got to be better together. I got to be a better husband. You got to be a better big brother. So let's hold each other accountable. You and I'll practice on not raising my tone. But these are also things that we discuss on the podcast. We talk about parenting because we want people to understand that you're going to make mistakes. Like you see our highlights on social media and it's all fun and games. But in life and marriage, you're going to do some things and you got to reflect and say, you know what? I handled that wrong. Let me fix that. And I don't mind saying that to people because there's no pedestals for me. The minute people put you on a pedestal and you the greatest thing, then they're ready to knock you off.
That's why I was fearful in the beginning, because I was just like, you put stuff out there that's relationship based, then people feel like, well, you think you're an expert, you think you're always giving advice. People think that we're on this imaginary pedestal. So I was very apprehensive at first because then I feel like that leaves no room for error. But I think the good thing with us, with the podcast and just even with our content in general, is that we really try to show the entire picture. Like we did a whole episode on cheating because we're like, we're going to put ourselves out there before anybody tries to put us out there. You know what I mean? Nobody can come to us with stories now because everything's out there.
Y'all both have cheated?
So,
yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
Me and my wife too. That's when you've been together that long?
We've been together since 18.
Yeah.
Since 18. And we've healed.
It's still a hard conversation to have, though.
Oh, definitely. Sure. That episode was a hard episode.
It's never an easy conversation to have. But I will say this though: if you learn to accept people and accept them to have changes in life, you don't hold people to that moment. And what happens is people want to, and even with cancel culture now, they want to hold you to one moment. Like you have so many moments in the course of a day. You have one bad moment. People want to say that's who you are all the time.
That's right.
And I've learned to not hold people to that, especially my wife, you know what I'm saying? Because I hope she doesn't hold me like that and give me grace.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give you grace.
And I was like, after 19 years, if you wasn't cheating, somebody lying. So I was like, from 18 to 30
18
now?
to 30, yeah. We've been through a lot. Through the NFL, all this stuff. We had our ups and downs.
Did y'all rowdy-ass Brooklyn people press the people y'all... I'm going to press that girl. I'm going to press that nigga when I see it.
Yes. Khadeen,
yeah, you don't want to be that side chick and have Khadeen run up on you.
Khadeen ran up on somebody.
I did.
And
was something old?
Growth. Yeah, this was years.
This was
mad
long ago. But she ran up on this girl, and I was like, "Yo."
It was my approach that morning though, because I got up that morning, I got dressed and everything, and I was like, "What you got planned today?" Because we was in the middle of an argument. He was sleeping in one room, I was in another room. He's like, "What you got planned today?" He's like, "Oh, nothing." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm about to go do this. I gotta run to Target, and I'm about to go there and fuck her up." And I said her name. Like in my routine for the day, it was like Target,
Charlamagne,
Starbucks. I'm gonna get some groceries, and then I'm gonna fuck her.
Very important.
And then
she's leaving out some very important parts, right?
Period.
Prior to all of this, right? Me and her had a conversation. I said, "Yo, we having mad issues with sex. We don't want to get separated. Like we don't want to get separated. Can I just have a side chick?" And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Yeah." And I was like, you
ain't gonna do it though.
So I said I'm asking you seriously. I'm not saying this as a joke. I'm asking you, like, if sex with me is too much for you, like, can I just go get my rocks knocked off by somebody else? And she was just like, Devale, do what you got to do.
You a wild boy. Y'all right? Brooklyn niggas some wild boys.
So I asked her this. She said yes. So I was like, yo, you said yes. I'm going to go out and do it. I meet a young lady, right? We don't even have sex. We don't have sex. We start talking. I was like, yo, this young lady cool. And I said, part of the problem is if I like you, this can be too dangerous. True. I don't want to have sex with somebody that I like. I want to have sex with somebody and let it be transactional. So me and the young lady just became friends. She found out me and the young lady was talking, right? Ended up taking a shift at the young lady's job so that she can confront her at work. Woke up in the morning, mad regular. Just woke up mad regular, just like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Target, I'm gonna drop Jackson to school, then I'm gonna just go fuck this bitch up. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what
you got a whole job?
About? I said, I asked you if I could do this. You said yes.
Why'd you say yes?
I didn't think he was gonna do it.
And Devale, you asked her, wanting her to be like, no, let me hold it down.
Go ahead. It was kind of in the heat of the moment. We're arguing, and I'm just like, whatever. Go ahead.
Devale, that's why you got to have homies, because if you'd have called me, I'd have been like, nigga, she don't mean yes. She's testing you.
Right. That was the last thing on my mind.
He was testing her, too.
I'm going to tell you the truth, Charlamagne. Angela said it. Angela said the truth right here. I asked the question because I really wanted her to be like, hell no. I'm going to handle my business. I never expected her to say yes. When she said yes, it hurt my feelings too.
Just devastated.
My ego, because I'm like, now you don't even care if I fuck somebody else?
Word up.
What the fuck? Now I got to go out and fucking do it. Like, that's
and then he had a point to prove. Let me tell you.
I didn't even really want to do it.
He didn't want to do it. And then after I found out about them just even talking, I was like, I don't want you talking to her anymore. And that made him want to talk to her that much more.
Because then I'm like, you forbid me?
And the shit went on for months
where
it was just like... Because he was like, you're not going to forbid me.
Like, you can't. Well, you're not the warden. You can't forbid me to. And the funny thing is, we had these conversations on the podcast because I want people who are in relationships to realize that sometimes you go through stuff in relationships and you can't just throw a relationship away because someone doesn't meet the standard exactly all the time.
Or in that moment.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And
we had Bishop T.D. Jakes up here last week. He was saying the same exact thing.
You got to give people grace. You know what I'm saying? Like,
now, back to this young lady. So, what did you tell her was your situation? Was she cool?
I was honest with her. I was very honest with her. I said, listen, I'm married. My wife said I could have a pass. Me and her have been going through some things, sexually. She said I could have a pass.
That's too much information.
She was like,
you had to tell her that.
You know what? I shouldn't have. But I'm gonna be honest, bro. I didn't even know how to maneuver in this situation because I didn't really want to get the pass. I wanted my wife to step up the same way I step up every day and say, if my wife needs this, I'm gonna find a way to do it. Right. I wanted my wife to step up and say, yo, my husband's not going out here and doing nothing. I'm gonna figure out a way to make it work. But when she said, go ahead and do your thing, it hurt me. So now I'm like, now I got to go out here and do it. So I met this chick and then I told her what it was. We started talking and she was actually just a real cool person. So then I was just like, if we have sex and we like each other, it's gonna be a problem. And she was like, yeah. And she was just like, I don't think we should have sex. And I was like, I don't think we should have sex neither. So then we just was talking, like we were just cool peoples. And that was my outlet enough. You know what I'm saying?
She's about to swing on you now.
She probably is. When we get in the car, it's going to be an argument when we get in the car.
But when she said don't talk to her anymore, how come you didn't listen to that?
Because he was just not going to. That's Devale's personality. If somebody tells him, do not go left, he's going to go left.
Yee, let me tell you something right now, Yee. If somebody came in here and said, Devale, you couldn't play and you couldn't do the WWE, right? I don't even want to be in the WWE. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to train for 10 years to be in the WWE, and then I'm going to go to the WWE, right? I'll probably get my ass kicked, and I'm going to come out and say, but you said I couldn't do it, and now I did it.
Yeah.
So
what if Khadeen would have befriended a guy that she met that was real cool and started having conversations with him?
That's what happened.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
I did. The tables turned, and I got into a whole situation with a dude.
And then, but here's the thing, though.
Texting and all sorts of
I didn't forbid her. I said, do you really feel like you need to do that in order to exist in this relationship? And she was just like, no, I don't. So I said, why you did it? She said, well, you made me feel insecure, and I stepped out and I did this.
It became tit for tat.
It was very, and we were young. We were in our 20s. But my thing was, I always wanted her to choose me. I didn't want her to feel like she was obligated. So I didn't want to be like, you forbid to talk to him. I was like, yo, if you feel like you need to talk to him, we need to have a conversation about that and move forward accordingly.
Because maybe it's something I'm not doing.
And to me, I'm all about accountability. Maybe it's the athlete in me.
That's one thing he did say that. Devale likes to take accountability for and he'll reflect. Yeah. I had to learn that from him because a lot of time I'm ready to deflect and be like, well, all of the forces that be around me made this happen. And he said, no. I said, we got to be accountable for our
I said, what did I not do? I said, what did I not do? Like, what was the problem? And we had a discussion about it. I said, all right, that's fair. I messed that up. My fault. Right.
And we shook on it, and now we good.
Yeah, and we shook on it. So, I mean, my thing is I'm never going to hold her to a standard I'm not going to hold myself. That's just not fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't do that.
Now, has there been physical cheating?
I've cheated before. Right. I have had physical. I have never asked her. I don't ask her because I really don't want to know. But I physically cheated before, and it was young. We was in college. There were times when we were supposed to be together. We were together. Sometimes we weren't together, and I was just like same thing in college. Because when we first got together, when we were 18, I told her I didn't want to be a boyfriend. I was like, I don't want to be a boyfriend, and she was like, well, I don't want to be number 2 to nobody else. And I was like, damn, like I'm really not trying to be out here.
We met each other at like a really fragile time because I came from a very strict West Indian household, so I couldn't go out, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't date, I couldn't do anything. So when I got to college, I was ready to have fun, and he had just gotten to college too, and he was ready to have fun. And then we met each other and like just couldn't. A lot of times it was like trying to put a square peg in a triangle hole because it's like we're trying to make this work because we want to be together, but it just wasn't. It wasn't working. And not for nothing, I was trying to be honest and tell her what I didn't want. But I wanted her more than anything else. So more than me getting my freedom and sowing my wild oats, I wanted my best friend. And I realized I couldn't have my best friend only on my terms. And that was when I had to make a decision of, you know what? I value monogamy with her more than I value all the other aspects in life. And that's one thing I do tell when young ladies ask me, like, how is it that you don't cheat on Khadeen? I said, well, you got to find a man who wants to be monogamous.
That's right.
Like, you can't find a man and say, I'm going to make him do anything. And I tell guys, because I got dudes, and it's the crazy thing, women feel like men are dogs. You know how many men hit me up and be like, yo, my girl cheated on me and I don't know what to do, because it happens. And I'm like, well, it's cool because Kay has stepped out on me. So you're like, well, you took her back? I'm like, yeah, I stepped out on her. Like, what you want me to do? Like, I can't be the judge, the jury, and executioner. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you have to find a woman who wants to be kept, a woman who wants to be monogamous. If she don't, there's nothing you can do. You can buy her everything. That's right. She's still going to be out here.
You know what's crazy too, though? I wish men, especially when you've lived both lives, if you realize how much more peaceful and how more prosperous your life is when you are being monogamous to your woman and doing right by your woman. Like, it's literally night and day.
Charlamagne, bro, you are do I not say that all the time?
Yeah,
people ask me all the time, like, why are you monogamous? I said, look at my life because I'm monogamous, bro. Every time I focused on my business, my goals, and just my woman, I am successful.
That's right.
Every time I was trying to balance something else, I was all over the place. But that's just me. Because I know some men who can balance women and their business. That's just not me.
Me neither.
I just can't. Like, I just be all over the place. But I feel like Khadeen and I have there's a divine aura that brings us together, that we work better collectively and individually when we're together. Right. Like, I'm the best version of myself, and I can do everything I want to do because I never step out in the world feeling alone. Like, all of these things I do, all these chances I take when I'm like, I'm going to roll up on Charlamagne, I'm going to roll up on 50. You know what I'm saying? I do this because I know I got my homie here. Right. I got my homie. Like, if I fall flat on my face and Charlamagne say, man, get out my face, I'm going to go back home, we can get in the car, we going to laugh. You know what I'm saying? Right. If 50 kick me off the show, I'm going to laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, I feel like I got my homie here, and, she feels the same.
Just for
that's
the record,
a great key.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just as individuals too, the way that both of you carry yourselves, and you're amazing people individually, but I think that's important too. And you talk about that as an individual, how you have to be able to be an independent individual before you can even be whole in a relationship.
No, that's true. That's true.
Absolutely.
Like,
and like Devale was saying, like, some days you show up at 80%, some days at 20%, but like, we show up 100% for each other. We try to, at least. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think the whole 50-50 coming into a relationship to find somebody to complete you is setting yourself up for failure, because you have to come with a total package.
No, I agree.
You do.
And not for nothing, I think y'all have to give yourselves a lot of credit for what y'all have done for the culture, because I've heard your stories about your marriage and everything you've been through, right? I've heard Envy's stories about his marriage. Kay used to send me the 12. She used to send me the 12 days of Christmas. You being a businesswoman and doing everything that you do. Y'all really, for me, what set me up to realize, like, yo, I could do everything I want to do because I watched these people here do everything they want to do. I remember when things happened with you, Charlamagne. You came on here and talked about it, was accountable for the things you felt like you did wrong. And I was like, yo, you know how hard it is for somebody to do that to themselves? But I said, but that is what we need more of. Like, we need people to be like, hey, I might have made a mistake here, but I didn't do this, but I'm going to talk about it. I ain't going to hide from it. You know what I'm saying? Me and Kay listen to Gia and Envy's podcast, and they talk about the things that they happen in their marriage and the financial decisions they make. And I'm like, yo, Kay, we can openly talk about this. People can talk about this.
And it might cost you.
It might.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's better just to have it out there.
Yeah,
And I feel like you guys on the Breakfast Club, not only that, but y'all have provided information for people. And y'all inspired me. Well, my son. Matter of fact, I actually bought y'all 3 books because I wrote a children's book.
The Ellis is in the Time Machine?
Yes,
That's
the Ellis is in the Time Machine. And it was and this is the truth, bro. Being a black content creator, people feel like you can't make content for black people speaking about systemic oppression. And I look at the Breakfast Club and I'm like, they have people up here all the time talking about what we go through and they thriving. So it made me feel like, yo, I feel confident in doing this. I feel confident in bringing this up and talking about it. My son asked me a question about Black Lives Matter and I answered it. A lot of people were excited about my answer, so I decided to write a book, self-published. My man Hedrick, who I think you know, he did my son's book. But and one things I learned about my son and Hedrick on them through the Breakfast Club. So I think y'all really need to like get y'all flowers while y'all here, because years from now, when the Breakfast Club is over, hopefully it never ends, because I feel like this is like something that we need. People gonna be like, remember when they talked about this? Remember when they talked about that? We had Biden on our podcast, and the first thing I said was like, yo, the Breakfast Club would do this. That's the first thing I said to Kay, because people like, oh, y'all a relationship podcast. Y'all shouldn't talk about politics. I was like, no, we gonna talk about everything. And then we had him on there, and I'm just like, yo, I feel like we are serving our purpose as far as helping our community learn and educate.
I mean, just being an example of a strong black family unit. That's revolutionary within itself.
That is true.
That's a fact.
That is true. That's very true.
So when we've had people come to us for deals for like reality shows and things that they potentially saw in our family, they always wanted to infiltrate it with some kind of drama. Like, what's there to lose here? What's there to lose? And I'm like, there's nothing to lose here. We're trying to gain it all. Yeah. And I guess that it wasn't appetizing for these companies that wanted us on reality shows. A couple reality shows since I've moved reached out to me, and I'm just like, it's not on brand with me and what we're trying to portray. So that's one thing. We've had to leave some bags behind, but it's all right because the right ones come along. Yeah,
absolutely.
And as they
That's
should.
funny, I talk about that all the time. That they come and they want to throw drama, and I'm like, this is my family. Yeah, this ain't no show. Like this is I got 5 kids. I'm like, no. So it's funny that they look for the same thing, and I'm glad we didn't take it, of course, because we don't need it. I don't need that drama. But fuck the money. That you guys didn't do it, but I'm sure some family did. But I'm like, nah, this is more than just a check. This is my family. This is my babies.
That's a fact.
We sat down and had that conversation, and we met with a producer, and the producer promised us that everything was going to be this, and I was like, you know what, you have one job, and that's to make sure that them ratings is high. That job is never going to entail protecting me and my family. That's right. So we're gonna have to pass on that. Like,
and we'll stick to creating our own content.
We'll create our own content. You know what I'm saying? But,
I feel like if you did a show, you guys should be the executive producers of it and bring it to a network yourselves, really, because you've been doing this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's really what we're at that point now where, we signed a deal with iHeartRadio for our podcast, so we're excited about that. Season 4 and season 5 are on iHeartRadio. We're closing on a book deal now. Yeah. We're closing on a book deal now. So things are happening for us. I've been pitching my sitcom, had some meetings with some important people. So
all that's going to happen, though. As long as the podcast keep growing, the book sells, all that's going to come.
Right.
Yeah, I had no clue about any of that,
We didn't understand
bro.
the strength behind a podcast either at first. Because when we were approached with the idea of it, I was just kind of like, really? I wasn't into podcasts at the time. I wasn't listening to them. And, man, we didn't expect for this to happen. So
all I saw was creating content. But then when all the other stuff came, I was like, what? I'm like, y'all doing this with podcasts? I was like, sign me up now.
It's big business.
Yeah,
it is. Definitely. It is. It's huge business, especially if you put out good content. So,
Khadeen, have you ever used Devale's, I guess, I don't know what you would call it, like the need to, I'm going to prove you wrong against him? Like to get him to do something? Whoa. What was that laugh? That's you ain't gonna eat no ass laugh. Watch this.
Bro, you ain't gonna buy me this Dior bag now.
Yo, nice.
Have I? I'm trying to think.
Come on, bro. You don't even sit
What was it?
You not going?
I don't think I do.
Nah, all the time, bro. All the time. Like anything, just anything that you need to get done. You just make it seem like you don't believe I can do it to get me to do it.
Devale is a person you have to use reverse psychology with a lot. Like, it'll be something as simple as, for example, we have these chairs that came to the house that need to be assembled, right? So with Devale, if I ask him to assemble the chairs, he's not going to assemble them. He's gonna wait until he's good and ready to do it. So I just put the chairs just like by the pool table where I know he likes to do, and he will kick around the boxes and play pool and not put the chair together. So at this point, I just kind of leave it where it is, and I'm just like, all right, well, he'll do it whenever.
You're kicking around this question. What about the wedding in the house? Charlamagne,
wedding in the house.
Wedding in the house. When I first got out the league, right? I told you I was in financial hardships, right? My girl over here.
I believed in you though. You was gonna bounce back.
My girl over here was like, I said, listen, I can't do a house right now and a wedding. You got to pick one, right? Well, she was just like, all right, well, I guess I'll do the wedding. So I was like, you rather do a wedding in the house? She said, yeah, because we already own the property. We'll get the house later. In her mind, she was saying to herself, she only said for me to get the wedding because she thought I was going to find a way to get both. And that's a perfect example of what you just asked.
Yes, that's true. So, that's a very valid story. Because in my mind, I was like, Devale was the kind of guy. Like I said, he says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. So I was like, well, knowing that, I can get both. I can get the wedding and the house. So I said, let me go for the first half, the wedding, get that out the way. Because at that point, we were going on a year and a half engaged. And then,
but this is the crazy part though. She told me she wanted the wedding, right?
In a timely manner.
We went and got the wedding. Gave her a wedding cost $75,000. Stupid investment. 325 people there. Half the people I didn't even know. We come back from our honeymoon. We come back from honeymoon, go into the apartment. The night we're in the apartment, she goes, I hate this apartment. I don't want to stay here.
He moved me into his grandmother's old apartment that she was in for 30-something years in Crown Heights.
I gave you the option.
They broke into my car, Charlamagne, like the first night that I was there.
Welcome to Crown Heights.
And me being a sheltered girl from Canarsie with a driveway, I was like, damn, I didn't know that they were doing this out here in these streets.
So
I was pissed.
It was
I was like, you really mean we can't get this house too?
Yeah, it was 2010. No, 2009 when we moved back. This is right before the Barclays Center went up. So gentrification hadn't taken over.
I was going to say that Crown Heights house is worth about $3 million right now.
So now this is the crazy thing. I look every time we drive by Crown Heights, I was just like, I could own one of these right now. Like they were selling brownstones around the corner from my building for $250,000. I was like, that's $75K. I could have put down that 20% for that $50K. We could have lived in the basement. We could have rented out the upstairs 2 floors. We would have been good. And she'd be like, I know Devale, but we good now. So stop reminding me. I'm like,
y'all good now. You never know. Sometimes things change the course of life. Things happen the way they're supposed to.
True.
And look at where y'all are now.
That's true. That's why I don't be tripping. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. You about to get your Aunt Debbie's old house. On Angela's old block.
Oh yeah, my I ain't gonna shout out my Aunt Debbie's house in the block.
True,
but,
right.
She lived 2 blocks from you on Flatbush.
Everybody knows where you live. You might not want to say that.
He's talking about where I grew. He's talking about where I grew up, not where I live now.
Oh, got you.
And on Cortelliu, between Cortelliu and Clarendon.
Clarendon? That's right where I grew up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go try to get that crib.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, make sure you check out the Dead Ass podcast. Make sure you get the children's book, The Ellises and the Time Machine.
Yes.
Why do we have to say Black Lives Matter? Make sure you check out Devale on Tyler Perry's Sisters.
Yes.
And everything else y'all got going on, man.
Yeah, you got Bigger coming out soon, too.
Yeah, Bigger on
Season
BET
2.
Plus. Will Packer Show Bigger.
Dope.
On that
Might
season
see
2.
me in 1 or 2 episodes, too.
Okay.
Yeah. And we know what Bigger was about, okay?
Make sure y'all subscribe to the podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts. And what's y'all Twitters, Instagram handles, and all that good stuff?
Khadeen, I am.
And that's I am Devale, IAMDEVALE. We appreciate y'all so much. I have no idea.
We love you, Breakfast Club.
We
do.
appreciate y'all, too. It's the Dead Ass Podcast on the Breakfast Club. Thank you for joining us.